Welcome to In-Depth, a show that looks at mining developments in North and South America. Newmont Mining says Africa is its fastest growing region. To discuss this issue, I'm joined by Liz O'Hill, Mining Weekly's deputy editor, who is based in Toronto, Canada. Welcome to the show.
Hi, Martin.
Where is this growth coming from?
Well, at the moment, Newmont, that's the second biggest gold producer in the world by production volumes. They've only got one operation in Africa at the moment, and that's the Ahafo mine in Ghana. So the real big bump that Newmont is looking at is a second gold mine, also in Ghana, called Achim. And that will effectively double production in Africa for Newmont once operations start up there. They're looking at sort of late 2013, early 2014. The mine is expected to produce between 400,000 and 500,000 ounces of gold a year in the first 5 years once it starts production. And Newmont is basically looking at making a full go-ahead decision in the first half of next year. That's for that Achim mine. Then secondly, the company is looking at building an underground operation beneath or to develop deposits at depth at the Ahafo mine, and that's the mine that's already operating. So they've named this underground project Subika, and that one, they expect that it could add about 150,000 to 200,000 ounces, incremental ounces to Ahafo. Once production starts there, they've got a decline going at the moment. And production from the underground mine could start around 2012, 2013 timeframe, executives say. So altogether, and that's from these two gold projects, it could be, I mean, we're looking at around, say, 600 up to about 700,000 ounces a year within the next 4 years or so, adding into Ghana's production in Africa.
The company says it has a non-gold mining project too. Can you tell us more about that? Yeah,
it's pretty interesting actually. The company just published their third quarter results, and for the first time in his third quarter results presentation to analysts, Chief Executive Richard O'Brien included a discussion on the company's Nimba joint venture. That's an iron ore joint venture that Newmont has in Guinea. It's Newmont and BHP Billiton each have 43.5% of that project, and then France's Areva holds the other 13%. The project is, as I said, in Guinea. It's on the borders with Liberia and the Côte d'Ivoire, and Newmont seems pretty excited and keen and committed to stick with this project. This chief executive O'Brien, he says that obviously, first of all, it's going to add production diversification. Newmont, their operations really are at the moment gold plus copper, gold plus silver, and so iron ore would be a bit of a jump. And he rates this project as potentially one of the highest return assets or projects in the company's portfolio at the moment. So it's still early stages, but Newmont believes that there could be as much as 1.3 billion tons of iron ore contained in this project. The big sticker for this one is going to be a transport infrastructure. The partners need to be assured that they can get this iron ore from the project to the port economically, and be certain that that infrastructure is going to be there and that they can arrange that. So they working on the project at the moment. They are in talks with the local governments to try and come to transport agreements and so on. And Newmont, they expect that there'll be a pre-feasibility study starting on the Nimba project in the beginning of the first half of next year. It's an interesting one, but it seems that the question by analysts, how committed are you to this project? Is this something you're going to maybe firm up a little and then sell out of to realize value for it? They do seem quite committed to stick with it.
And looking across the globe, what other growth projects is Newmont looking at the moment?
Yeah, the other big one at the moment, together with Achim in Ghana, the other sort of new gold mine that's in the pipeline for Newmont is the Conga project. That's a gold copper project in Peru. The company actually, and that really is coming up the ranks. It's in the same sort of generation as the Achim project. Newmont recently received environmental assessment approval for the project in Peru, and the construction planning is now underway. So that will be a big addition to gold production, sort of around, I think, the 2014-2015 timeframe. Then another quite much earlier stage, in fact they're reluctant even to give timeframes for when they could make a production decision or begin operations, but that's the Hope Bay project in Canada that Newmont is pretty excited about. It looks like it is going to be a big contributor sometime down the road, a big gold project, but they're just busy with exploration at the moment and coming to grips with that resource. And then another interesting one, actually, Newmont is a partner on the big Batu Hijau copper gold project, a mine operation in Indonesia. And they and their partners just recently received exploration permits in Indonesia for a nearby copper gold project called the Elang deposit. And so they're going to be getting going with definition drilling sometime next year once the dry season starts in Indonesia around mid-year. And this is something else that really Newmont seems pretty excited about and optimistic about, that indications are that this could actually be an even bigger resource than Batu Hijau, which really was a huge discovery, and they've been mining for a while. So that's another thing that I think we'll see just slowly coming up through the ranks. Could be a really big contributor for Newmont. It's contained under the same contract of work as Batu Hijau, so that we've all heard the story about Newmont and its partner Sumitomo divesting consecutive stakes down in Batu Hijau under a contract of work that they signed with the Indonesian government in the 1980s, that they had to sell these stakes to local entities. So that falls under the same contract of work, the Elang deposit. But it's still, even with the smaller stake that Newmont has now, will likely be a big contributor down the road.
Well, thanks, Lizo, for your time. That was Mining Weekly Deputy Editor Lizo Hill speaking to us from Toronto, Canada. Join us again next week for more news and insight on mining in the Americas. I'm Martin Joaquin in Johannesburg.